Welcome back to the transfer show. It's already been a busy show, busy start. We were talking before the break about a few forwards that could be on the move. Could that be the case at Manchester United? We know that they need to sell. Darmish, Rasmus Højlund, let's start with him. Is he any closer to getting a move away from Man U?
Not yet, but look, we know AC Milan were interested. They wanted to do a loan with an option. It's understood now that AC Milan couldn't convince Manchester United forward Rasmus Højlund to join on those current terms because Manchester United and Højlund, in an ideal scenario, wanted a permanent deal. Now, this may sound like I'm about to contradict myself because of what I'm about to say. Milan, meanwhile, are now trying to close a deal for the Bayer Leverkusen striker Victor Boniface. RB Leipzig, they have been tracking Rasmus Højlund throughout this transfer window. They have been speaking to Manchester United about a permanent deal. And if a deal can be agreed in the last 12 days with Manchester United, then it will be up to Rasmus Højlund to decide whether he wants to go. Now, here comes the contradictory bit, because Sky in Italy are now reporting that Napoli are now pushing really hard to try and do a deal for Rasmus Højlund, and it would be a loan with an option to buy. So not a permanent deal again. However, we think that Højlund might be more open to that particular deal than the AC Milan offer, because Napoli can offer Champions League football, which AC Milan cannot offer at the moment. Clearly, this would be by the by at the moment, because it would have to be cleared by Manchester United, any kind of deal that Napoli would propose, be it a loan with an option, because we do know that United's preference is to do a permanent deal. They want around £40 million for him. Or if it is to be a loan, they would want some sort of permanent element attached to that deal. Initially, Rasmus Højlund wanted to fight for his place, but he was left out of the squad completely for that defeat on Sunday against Arsenal at Old Trafford. Head coach Ruben Amorim hasn't completely closed the door on Rasmus Højlund staying, but he has said that he shares the same characteristics as the new striker, Benjamin Sesko, and it is clear, given how the squad has been picked in the first game of the season, that Rasmus Højlund is going to find his game time limited. Definitely one to keep an eye on in the last 12 days, but it looks like now Napoli are pushing. They've got Romelu Lukaku, remember, who is injured. They don't know how long yet, but they think
so. That could be a key thing here.
It could be. It could be months rather than weeks at the moment, which would again imply what would happen if Rasmus Højlund went and then Lukaku gets fit. Is Rasmus Højlund going to be back up to Romelu Lukaku? Potentially, yes. But if he goes there, plays really, really well, then Antonio Conte might have a decision to make on his selection.
OK, interesting. We've got our eyes on that. Højlund, one of the players that they'd like to move on if possible. Garnacho is definitely in that camp as well.
Yeah, a player that's been muted about leaving Old Trafford over the course of this summer, but as of yet there's been no firm offer to Manchester United. We know that Chelsea have been in dialogue with Manchester United throughout the course of this summer. It's a little bit of a poker match, really. Who blinks first? Because we know that Manchester United will value Alejandro Garnacho at around £50 million. And they're probably right to say that, because you look at the players that have moved in those kind of positions. Anthony Elanga, around £50 million. We know that João Pedro, around £50 million. There are multiple players that are all in that kind of remit. So that's where their price tag comes from. However, Chelsea would rather pay around 25-30 million pounds. They want to, sniff out a deal here, and they believe the longer they leave it over the course of this summer, the greater chance they're going to be able to get the price they want, because they know that Manchester United need to sell as well because of the number of outgoings. Alejandro Garnacho has made it quite clear he has one preference and one preference only, and that's to join Chelsea and move to London. That's what his desire is. If you're asking me and putting me on the spot, I'd probably say Garnacho to Chelsea is probably a deal that happens. However, Chelsea have to be really careful about what they spend this summer, because they have this UEFA business plan, this agreement that their player purchases do not exceed their player sales. They need to sell more than they spend, and that's where they're caught in a situation. Probably expect this one to rumble right to the wire.
Right, OK.
If you look behind us, there's one other player that we are going to talk about who is in the news as well with regard to departures. It is, of course, Jadon Sancho. Roma, they haven't given up on striking a deal for Jadon Sancho yet. Their head coach, Gianpiero Gasparini, he absolutely loves Jadon Sancho. He is the key driver of this deal. They made an offer worth £20 million, did Roma, to Manchester United, which I think United will probably agree to in principle. Then it was down to Jadon Sancho himself. However, as it stands, we think Sancho wants to explore other options in the final 12 days. Besiktas and Borussia Dortmund are among a number of clubs who are interested in Jadon Sancho. Besiktas managed by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but we don't think at the moment that Jadon Sancho wants to go to Turkey. But if we get to the end of this transfer window and he's still a Manchester United player, the Turkish window is actually open for another 11 days. So you'll be sitting here again for another 11 days, maybe talking about Jadon Sancho. Yeah. But again, another one to keep an eye on, a Jadon Sancho situation.
Gut feeling of those three players, Højlund, Sancho, Garnacho, who leaves first?
Who leaves first?
Yep.
There's only 12 days left, mate.
Who's the closest of those three to leaving Manchester United, do you think?
The one that looks the most likely, but not necessarily going to leave first, is Garnacho,
right,
as Mark mentioned there. Rasmus Højlund as well. I think they all will actually get a move before the end of this transfer window.
Yeah, you see that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, with Jadon Sancho 1 year left, we know that Manchester United want rid of him. The Højlund stuff, it feels like it's just a case of where does he go? Leipzig, Napoli, unlikely to be Milan, and Garnacho, Chelsea. It's a marriage made in heaven. It just needs to happen.
And they might need to sell.
Alejandro Garnacho confirms Chelsea move. Alejandro Garnacho has confirmed his summer move from Manchester United to Chelsea. Manchester United's summer has been full of drama and speculation as Ruben Amorim looks to shape his squad for the new Premier League season. While new signings have injected life into the team, questions remain over certain players whose futures appear uncertain. Fans and pundits alike are watching how the Red Devils manage contract situations, potential departures, and internal disputes that could impact squad harmony. The Europa League final defeat to Tottenham in Bilbao continues to cast a shadow over Manchester United, particularly regarding player-manager relationships and morale within the camp. Attention has also turned to academy graduates, with supporters keeping a close eye on those who have emerged from United's youth system and may now be weighing their next move. One such player is Alejandro Garnacho, who has reportedly informed friends that he intends to join Chelsea, according to TalkSport. The 21-year-old winger has fallen out of favour at Old Trafford following a public spat with manager Ruben Amorim after last season's European disappointment. Chelsea are understood to have advised Garnacho to remain patient as negotiations progress, with club-to-club talks expected to intensify in the coming days. Manchester United have reportedly set a valuation of around £50 million for the academy graduate, reflecting both his potential and his status as one of the club's brightest prospects. However, Chelsea believe they may be able to negotiate a lower fee due to Garnacho's reportedly toxic relationship with Amorim, which could influence United's willingness to sell. The situation is creating a tense backdrop at Old Trafford, as supporters speculate whether United can hold on to a homegrown talent or if a Premier League rival will swoop in to secure his signature. For Alejandro Garnacho, a move to Chelsea would provide a fresh start away from the scrutiny at Manchester United while keeping him in the English top flight. The coming days are expected to be decisive, with United's stance on the transfer, Chelsea's negotiation strategy, and Garnacho's own patience all playing key roles in determining the outcome. Fans will be closely watching the developments, aware that the winger's departure could signal the end of one chapter for United's academy while offering him a new opportunity at Stamford Bridge. Ruben Amorim fails to convince Man United to sign £40 million goalkeeper as #1 alternative lined up. Ruben Amorim has failed to convince Manchester United to go big for Aston Villa star Emiliano Martinez, according to a journalist, as Wayne Rooney names the superstar goalkeeper that the Red Devils have to bid for. Man United have signed Mateus Cunha, Brian Mbeumo and Benjamin Sesko this summer to overhaul Amorim's attacking unit, with the Red Devils now focusing on securing the services of a new goalkeeper and a new midfielder before the window closes on September 1st. Andre Onana, who is injured at the moment, has not been very convincing since his move from Inter Milan in 2023, while his backup, Altay Bayındır, failed to impress against Arsenal in the Premier League last weekend and was bullied for the Gunners' goal from a corner. Sources have told TeamTalk's transfer insider, Dean Jones, that Man United will bid for Sen Lammens of Royal Antwerp. While Lammens is now Man United's #1 alternative to Martinez, the Red Devils could have been able to sign the former Arsenal star had they been willing to meet Villa's demands. TeamTalk's transfer correspondent, Fraser Fletcher, reported on June 25 that Man United were keen on a summer deal for Martinez. Sources told Team Talk at the time that the Argentina international goalkeeper himself was willing to move to Old Trafford, with Villa looking for £40 million, €46.3 million, $54 million, to sell him. Team Talk revealed on July 23 that Man United got in touch with Villa over a loan deal for Martinez, with the Red Devils also willing to send winger Alejandro Garnacho to Villa Park in a part exchange deal. The Villains rejected it, with well-known and well-connected Argentine journalist Gaston Edel now revealing what Man United said to Amorim after the manager urged them to make a bid for Martinez. The coaching staff, especially Amorim, wanted him, and Martinez knew that Amorim wanted him. Amorim could not convince the United board that it was important to spend on a good goalkeeper. Well, they told him that Onana was there and said, "Okay, we'll do you a favor and try," and they offered a loan. Aston Villa made it clear under what conditions he would let him go for a sale.